All right, let's jump into another deep dive.
Okay.
Today,
Looks good.
we're going to be looking at a story that's both tragic and strangely hopeful, maybe. We're going to see.
Okay.
It's about the murder of Rabbi Zvi Kogan in the UAE.
Right.
And, as you know, UAE recently normalized relations with Israel.
Yeah.
So this whole thing has left people kind of wondering, could an act of violence like this actually strengthen ties between these two countries? It's an interesting question.
It is.
And so we're going to be digging into news reports and expert analysis and even, statements from people who are actually involved to see if we can figure that out, if that's even possible.
It's definitely a unique situation.
Yeah.
It really shines a light, I think, on the whole, diplomacy and security balance, especially with, the Abraham Accords as the backdrop.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's quickly go over the details for our listeners.
Good idea.
Rabbi Zvi Kogan, he was 28 years old. He was a Shabbat emissary. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of you who, aren't familiar with that term, that means that he was sent to the UAE to build connections with the Jewish community there.
Got it.
He was tragically found murdered in Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
And so the initial reactions from both Israel and the UAE were, of course, shock and condemnation.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, and I think it's important to really highlight the UAE's response in particular.
Okay.
Because, they called this an attack on their values. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really significant statement, especially in light of their commitment to the Abraham Accords.
Yeah.
They clearly want to be seen as a tolerant society.
Well, exactly.
And to add to the tragedy of this whole thing, Rabbi Kogan had just moved to Abu Dhabi with his wife to further Shabbat's mission there. Wow.
So it really adds this deeply personal layer to the whole. It does. It really does.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, could this jeopardize, the progress of the Abraham Accords?
That's a good question.
What we're here to figure out. So now, these accords, they were signed back in 2020.
Yes.
And they normalized relations between Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a monumental change in Middle Eastern diplomacy.
Absolutely.
Especially considering, the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, which adds...
Totally. Yeah.
Another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
To this whole situation.
Right.
You have this fragile peace kind of taking root, and then this horrific murder happens.
Yeah.
Logically, you would think that it would destabilize everything.
Right.
But some experts are suggesting the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. They think that the UAE's strong reaction to this could actually lead to stronger diplomatic ties with Israel.
So it's counterintuitive almost.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Okay.
But, think about it this way.
Okay.
By condemning the act so strongly and by taking really quick action to apprehend these suspects and by really vowing to ensure that justice is served, the UAE is sending a really powerful message to Israel and to the world.
To everyone.
They're serious about peace, and they will not tolerate extremism.
Wow.
Even,
no matter what.
Yeah, even when it hits close to home.
That's a bold strategy.
There's a bold strategy. Yeah, so the question is it working?
Yeah, is it working?
We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see.
So this strong reaction from the UAE, is it actually making a difference in their relationship with Israel?
Well, Michael Koplow, you know him, Chief Policy Officer at the Israel Policy Forum.
Right.
He seems to think so.
Interesting.
He said that Israel seemed really genuinely appreciative of the UAE's response and even suggested that this whole shared experience could forge a stronger bond between them.
So almost like a we're in this together kind of situation.
Interesting. And Jason Greenblatt, former Trump administration envoy to the Middle East, he was actually in the UAE.
Oh, wow.
When the murder happened.
Really?
Yeah, he talked about how you just feel the outrage.
Wow.
And he emphasized that this incident hasn't really shaken the foundation of the Abraham Accords.
It makes you wonder what's going through the minds of other Arab nations watching this whole thing unfold.
Right.
You know?
He even suggested that maybe this tragic event might actually encourage other Arab nations to do the Accords.
It's
like as a show of solidarity against extremism.
Wow. That would be a powerful testament to the UAE's commitment to peace and tolerance.
It really would.
Yeah.
But, you know, we also can't lose sight of the human element of all this.
Of course. Yes.
It's a man who was brutally murdered.
Yeah.
A wife who lost her husband.
It's awful.
And a community that's now grappling with so much fear and uncertainty.
It's easy to get caught up in the geopolitics.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is a very deeply personal tragedy.
Yes, it is.
Rabbi Kogan was one of only 7 Shabbat emissaries in the UAE.
That's it.
Their presence there was a symbol of this new era of openness and tolerance. And even after this horrible event, the Shabbat movement wants to continue its work in the UAE.
That's great.
They've already gotten a lot of donations to build a center.
Oh, wow.
In Rabbi Kogan's memory.
That's amazing.
Jared and Josh Kushner have even pledged $2 million.
Wow.
That's incredible.
It is. And the outpouring of support for his wife has just been unbelievable.
That's great to hear.
Almost $700,000 has been raised to help her, you know, through this unthinkable time.
Wow.
It really speaks volumes about the compassion and empathy that exists, you know, beyond all these political divides.
It really is heartwarming to see
that
kind of humanity amidst, you know, such a dark situation.
Totally.
But it does make me wonder, like, could this incident make people think twice about traveling between Israel and the UAE?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
You know, with increased security and just like anxieties.
Yeah.
It could very well lead to less travel.
Right.
Which could hinder, you know, all the progress we've seen in building a relationship between these two countries.
Yeah, it's a really delicate balance trying to foster trust and cooperation, but at the same time acknowledging these very real security concerns.
And those security concerns bring us to the investigation itself.
Right.
So 3 Uzbek nationals have been arrested in connection with the murder. But the motive is still unclear.
So we're kind of left with more questions than answers at this point. Who are these people?
Exactly.
Why Rabbi Kogan?
Right.
Is there a connection to, like, you know, the conflict with Iran or Palestinian militant groups?
Could be.
I mean, it is certainly possible.
It's possible.
But it's important to remember that those are just theories right now.
Just theories.
We have to let the investigation run its course.
Yes.
We need concrete evidence before we can jump to any conclusion.
Exactly. And, you know, it's a good reminder. To always be critical of the information we come across.
Of course.
Especially in a situation like this.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so complex and emotionally charged.
Well, for sure.
You know, we need to be wary of confirmation bias.
Right.
Which is that tendency to interpret information in a way that just confirms what we already believe.
Right.
We have to let the facts guide us, not our assumptions.
Good point.
This whole tragedy really brings up some broader issues, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like anti-Semitism.
Yeah, exactly.
Safety of Jewish communities all over the world. And the UAE's efforts to be seen as a truly tolerant and inclusive society.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, this murder, regardless of the motive, is a chilling reminder.
It is.
Of the dangers faced by Jewish communities all over the world.
Sadly.
It really makes us confront the fact that anti-Semitism is still a thing.
It is.
We need more vigilance and security.
For sure.
And it puts the UAE in a tough spot.
It does.
You know? They've been working so hard.
Yeah, they have.
To build this image of tolerance and openness.
Right.
Welcoming everyone from all faiths and backgrounds.
And this incident casts a shadow.
It does.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the fact that they acted so quickly to apprehend the suspects and that they condemned it so strongly really does show that they are committed to upholding those values.
It's true.
So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like this whole thing is full of contradictions.
It is.
On one hand, you have the potential to strengthen these diplomatic ties.
Right.
And on the other, you have these very real fears and potential setbacks.
That's how it is with these big geopolitical events.
Yeah.
There's rarely like a clear answer or a simple solution.
Yeah.
I think what we can do is try to understand all the different perspectives, the historical context, and just all the possible consequences of different actions.
So much to consider.
It is.
What do you think, like, our listener should be focusing on as the story develops?
I think just pay attention to how all this shapes public opinion. In both Israel and the UAE. Like, will this fuel animosity, distrust? Or will it create this sense of shared vulnerability and make them want to cooperate more?
Interesting. Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, it does feel like we're at a crossroads.
It is, yeah.
Like a single act of violence.
It's crazy.
Could either, like, solidify this alliance or just unravel it completely. It's really interesting to see how this whole thing has exposed.
It really has.
Just how complex this whole situation is.
Totally.
It's not just governments, right? It's not just diplomats. It's about the people.
It's about people,
Their communities, their beliefs.
Yeah,
and that's what makes this.
It's not just a political chess game.
So much more than that.
It's real human lives.
Like we were talking about the potential impact on, travel and tourism. If people start to feel unsafe traveling between the two countries,
of course,
it's going to hinder the economic and cultural exchange that was,
that's right,
just starting to bloom.
Just getting started.
And that's just one piece of this whole puzzle.
Huge puzzle.
Yeah. Think about, like...
It's crazy to think about.
The bigger picture. The fight against anti-Semitism.
Totally.
The challenges of keeping people safe in such a volatile region. The UAE trying to, balance economic growth with religious tolerance.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah. It's this event has really...
a lot.
Opened up.
Yeah, it's like a can of worms opened up.
It makes you realize just how...
everything's connected.
Interconnected. Yeah. Everything is.
It's true.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah, that's the question.
What should our listener be looking out for as this story develops?
Well, I think first, keep an eye on the investigation. Like, will they figure out why this happened? And will they be able to connect the people who did it to... some bigger organization or ideology.
And beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, look at how everyone's reacting.
Right.
How's public opinion going to change in both Israel and the UAE?
Right.
Are people going to start hating each other?
Right.
Not trust each other?
Yeah.
Or will they see this as, like, we're all kind of in the same boat here.
Right.
We need to work together.
Yeah. I think that will determine, how this impacts things in the long run.
I agree.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's safe to say that
this isn't over.
This story's not over yet.
Not even close.
We've talked about a lot.
Learned a lot.
We've uncovered some interesting things, but...
yeah, but there's so much we still don't know.
There's still a lot of unanswered questions.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the nature...
that's how it is,
of these complex geopolitical events. Right.
You get little pieces at a time.
They unfold gradually over time. New things come out.
Yeah, it's a process.
And I think that's why it's important.
To keep digging.
Yeah, to engage in these deep dives. To really, understand everything, all the sides.
All the sides.
The history, the potential consequences.
For sure.
Of the things that could happen.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we did today.
Yeah, I think so.
We explored this tragic murder.
We did.
We talked about all these complex relationships.
Complicated, for sure.
Between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Yeah. We even talked about, the bigger picture.
The big question.
Peace, security, religious tolerance in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And we may not have all the answers.
Not yet.
But hopefully this conversation...
yeah, hopefully this helps.
...has given you...
people understand this better.
...the tools and the insights that you need to understand this story as it develops.
Because at the end of the day, it's not just about knowing stuff.
Right.
It's about being able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Question what you think you know.
Right.
And just help make the world a little more understanding.
Yeah. A more informed and compassionate world.
Exactly.
And so... on that note, we'll leave you with this.
One last thing.
One final thought.
Yeah.
Could this tragedy,
as awful as it is,
lead to greater understanding and cooperation
between Israel and its Arab neighbors?
Or will things just get worse?
That's the question, isn't it?
That is the question.
It all depends on what we all choose to do.
The choices we make.
Yeah.